Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Good evening, and welcome to our special Halloween edition of Three Guys in a Flick. This is where we review the good, the bad, and the horribly absurd. Tonight, we conclude our series on classic horror films and their remakes. Last week, we were on Elm Street. Tonight, we take a trip to Haddonfield, Illinois, with the 1978 John Carpenter's Halloween and the 2007 Rob Zombie remake. Beware, spoilers. 1, 2, I'm coming for you. My name is Don, and to my right we have the guy guaranteed to haunt your dreams. This is John. And to my left, the guy most likely to have a basement full of dead bodies. This is the Professor, Ken.
You know, you keep talking about it and keep bringing it up, and people keep asking questions, and you both know what happens when people ask too many questions. Stop asking questions.
Okay, fair enough. No more questions for the Professor.
I think I beat myself a little.
Yeah. If you don't hear from us in the next couple of weeks, fans, the Professor did it. What did you guys think of Halloween's?
I thought that the Halloween movies were a fun watch. It's, I think, an iconic movie to be thinking about when you think about the holiday of Halloween.
Absolutely, 100%.
Something we were discussing earlier before we started taping was you have your memories of these movies and what you thought you remembered the movies being like, and then you actually go back and you rewatch them and you're like, oh, I don't remember that, or I don't remember it being like that. And actually, like Ken was saying, I thoroughly enjoyed rewatching these movies.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed watching one of them. So there's that, I guess. Do you remember where you were when you saw the first one?
I saw Halloween in the theater, I think.
Wow. Did you see it in the theater?
No, I did not. I actually watched the Friday the 13th series, and only probably like 15, 20 years ago actually started watching the Halloween movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't watch the original when it came out, but I'm pretty sure I watched it, like a couple of years later type of thing in the theater.
Sure.
I would have been like 6, I think, when it came out.
Yeah, I was 4.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw it on VHS.
I saw it on VHS as well.
One of those Halloween parties growing up.
Yep.
And yeah, the shape and that music, and that was pretty powerful stuff at the time.
When I was watching Friday the 13th, the original, that was a precipitous fall from grace. It was not quite cratering, but it was a definite disappointment if you happen to hear that other pod. When I was rewatching this Halloween, I was not anxious, but I was cautious as to how much am I going to enjoy this again after a period of time. It totally delivered. It held up the test of time. It is a classic in the same way that the movie Psycho it works every time.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Halloween, let's talk about the 1978 version.
Oh, if you insist.
Well, we could do 2007 first.
It is your basement.
Well, fucking A, it is. Released on October 25th, 1978, Halloween was directed by John Carpenter. It was written by John Carpenter. It stars Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis, PJ Soles, Nancy Loomis, Nick Castle, Tony Moran, and Will Sandin. It was made for $325,000, and it made $70 million. And it kind of, like we were saying, it kind of launched a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it really brought us Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh,
I mean, thank you, Halloween.
yeah. Did you ever see Halloween 2?
I did. It was a long time ago, and this assignment has really made me want to go back and watch it again.
Are you going to watch the remake of Halloween 2?
I don't know. That we'll get into that a little bit later about our feelings about the original and remake, on which one has now made me want to go back and watch the sequels.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Halloween 2?
Yeah, it's forgettable. I don't remember anything about it.
It happens in a hospital, and Michael is chasing Laurie, and I forget how it ends after that. I think she kills him. I think because John Carpenter wanted Michael Myers dead after 2 because he wanted the Halloween series to be an anthology, which is why we got Season of the Witch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he kind of wanted it to be like what American Horror Story is now.
Yeah.
Where it's a different story each season. He wanted a different story each movie.
Yeah.
And he got really kind of grossed out about the movies that they just are rehashing, or they kept rehashing the same storyline every movie after the third one.
Yeah, so I think he only serves as executive producer or gets the writing credit as the one creating the character. Mm-hmm. But other than that, he kind of stepped away from the entire franchise, I believe.
Yeah, he eventually sold it.
Yeah, he did.
I think that this latest one, the Halloween movie that's coming out on the 15th of October, is going to be like Jamie Lee Curtis's 6th Halloween movie.
Yeah. How many times has she died in them?
I have to go back and watch.
Just one. She dies at the opening of Halloween H2O.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. They kill off Laurie Strode, and then they go, no, it's the one where they're in the MTV house.
She pulls off a Ripley?
Yeah, kind of. They kill her off in the first 20 minutes, and then it turns into like a reality TV show. They're spending the night at... Busta Rhymes is in it. I think it's Resurrection, I think. I don't know. And to all, and to our faithful listener, you now feel dumber for knowing that information. Not great films by any stretch of the imagination. But let's talk about a film that was pretty great, right? 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night in 1963, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois, to kill again.
Doesn't get much more difficult to understand than that.
No, and at $325,000, Carpenter was, it was almost independent filmmaking.
Do you know what Jamie Lee Curtis's paycheck was?
$8,000.
$8,000.
Yeah, he said that it was the ultimate tribute to Alfred Hitchcock because Alfred Hitchcock cast her mom, Janet Leigh. Is it Janet Leigh?
Janet Leigh in Psycho.
Yeah. So that's another reason why Jamie Lee Curtis got the job.
Yeah, and she actually, especially in the first few days of filming, thought she was doing a horrible job and was waiting for him to call her and fire her at any moment. But I thought she did a good job in the movie.
I thought she was great. I think that out of all of the slasher girls of the series that we have reviewed, she is easily 1 or 2, in my opinion. And just because of my love of the film and how much I gushed on that other podcast, I think Nancy from Nightmare is in my top 2 as well.
As I talked about and I'm not going to go into the reason why, but as I talked about in our Freddy podcast, Nancy holds a special place in my heart. So.
Yeah, for sure. Right. So you get it. Right. Yeah. So, all right. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Halloween. On Halloween night, 1963, in the town of Haddonfield, Illinois, 6-year-old Michael Myers stabs his teenage sister Judith to death with a kitchen knife. For the next 15 years, he is incarcerated at Smith's Groves Sanitarium. On October 30th, 1978, Michael's psychiatrist, Dr. Samuel Loomis, arrives at the sanitarium to escort Michael to court for a hearing. However, Michael has escaped and stolen his car. Michael is headed home. On Halloween, Michael stalks Laurie Strode and her 2 friends, Annie and Linda. Loomis arrives in Haddonfield in search of Michael. He meets with Annie's father, Sheriff Lee Brackett, and they investigate Michael's house. That night, Laurie babysits Tommy Doyle and Annie babysits Lindsay Wallace across the street. Annie later takes Lindsay over to the Doyle's house to spend the night so she can pick up her boyfriend Paul. When she gets in her car, Michael appears from the back seat, strangling and slitting her throat. Soon after, Linda and her boyfriend Bob arrive at the Wallace house and find it empty. After having sex, Bob goes downstairs to get a beer, where Michael pins him to the wall with a kitchen knife. Michael strangles Linda with a phone cord. Looking for her friends, Lori goes to the Wallace house and finds her friends' bodies. She flees to the hallway in terror, where Michael suddenly appears in the dark and slashes her arm, causing her to fall over the stairway banister. Michael chases Lori back to Tommy's house. After getting the kids safely out the house, Lori fights with Michael. Lori rips Michael's mask off. Loomis, having seen the kids running away, enters the house and shoots Michael 6 times, knocking him off the balcony. Loomis walks to the balcony and looks down to see that Michael has vanished. End movie.
What did you guys think of the way, because obviously this movie starts off way different than the other movie, in that we just get Michael going in, killing the sister, coming out and standing on the front lawn. What did you think? Was that enough for you, or did you, like the other movie, need more build up?
For me, I really appreciated just jumping right into it and then not knowing. I disagreed with the other Halloween having the story the backdrop of why Michael is the way Michael is.
Yeah, and we'll get there. The opening of this, I thought, was very well done. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that we're getting the POV through Michael's eyes. I love the shot when he puts on the mask, and then it's the mask view, and the boyfriend gets out alive because, well, he was smart and he left. But in this version, he only kills the sister. Mm-hmm. Right. And I thought that was plenty to tell me that this dude is not right in the fucking head. I don't need a big, long backstory to understand what's going on in this guy's head. He's a fucking nut. And we know because the movie is called Halloween and he turns out to be Michael Myers. And I don't need a whole big backstory, but I did like the way that Carpenter did this. Because it showed that independent filmmaking style that I was talking about. I thought it was a great opening.
Speaking of backstories, one of the things that Don loves is when I do a little bit of extra research and kind of ruin the movie for him. So I'm going to share a little bit of where the thinking was and where the motivation was for Michael Myers killing his sister.
You get 30 seconds and go.
Okay. Originally, there was a book that came out just before this movie came out called Halloween by Curtis Richards. In it, it's believed, this book is actually out of print now. It's hard to find. Even if you go to Amazon, you can't even order it. You have to kind of do a little research on it. But in it, it reveals that supposedly there was this, back during the rise of the Druids, there was this guy named Enda who was in love with the king's daughter.
All right, that's
Deidre.
30 seconds. Thanks. That's all we get from our comic book guy.
Yeah, he was
so
in
what
love
I
with
really
the
love
sister,
about this
Deidre.
fucking movie was...
Can I keep going? Can I have the time? Can I have the time?
Okay, you get 30 more seconds. Go.
Okay, anyway, he ends up professing his love for Deidre. Deidre sees, I guess he's got a deformed face, shoots him down. She ends up going to marry another guy. Enda ends up killing the king's daughter and this fiance, which pisses off the entire village. They kill him and curse him to basically have his soul wander for the rest of eternity, influencing other people. So basically, the story is that this is probably the voices that Michael's hearing in his head on Halloween, because the murders originally took place on Halloween, influencing him to go and kill other people. And what it's revealed also in the book is that Michael's great-grandfather also heard voices and killed people. So it kind of runs in his family that he's hearing these voices and are being influenced apparently by this druid spirit. Do you feel smarter?
No.
I mean, if that's the book that was written, that's cool. If that's the backstory that they technically want to give Michael Myers, I guess whatever. Michael Myers' original origin to me happens when we meet him in 1963. Right. So I don't give a fuck about that stuff. I see why they cut it, because it would probably be stupid hard to film And it's fucking stupid. But whatever.
I agree with you 100%. I like the way this movie just starts with us not knowing the reasons why. We basically are just getting a killer. We're just getting the birth of a killer who's remorseless, has no motivation other than just killing.
Yeah.
And I kind of appreciated that for this movie.
We get the opening with Loomis, and what do you guys think of Loomis as a character and Donald Pleasance from James Bond fame?
Donald Pleasance rocked my world. I really enjoyed his portrayal of Loomis, and I really associate him strongly with the character of the doctor who is trying to stop Michael.
Yeah. That is his mission. He knows that in Michael's eyes, what does he say, is pure evil.
Yeah. I really like the character too. I really like the way he played it. I guess he was only on set for 5 days that he filmed it. And did you ever hear his reasoning why he took the role?
Why?
Because he had alimony to pay.
Oh, I think I have heard that, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, otherwise he said he wouldn't have taken the role.
Yeah. Well, he came back for like 5 of them, so...
I thought they killed him off in the second one.
Well, he's back for more. He was in that. I know he was in Revenge, Part 4, which is Revenge, and 5. God, if I only had the device,
I have to go back and watch them.
Yeah. So, anyways, Donald Pleasance had been in more than just the first 2. I thought the Loomis character, it was very much needed. I kind of felt like Donald Pleasance was doing this because he needed the alimony. And maybe it was just the way it was written. But his character, he was kind of dumb for a psychiatrist. When he is walking the streets looking for Michael, how does he not see his car behind him? And then he spends all this time waiting at the Myers house because they're going to wait for Michael. And the car's right fucking behind him. And he turns around and he's all, oh, there's the fucking car.
There is a lot of things that don't make sense in this movie. Like the fact that Michael is stalking Laurie throughout the whole movie, like for the whole beginning, wearing the mask, wearing the overalls. And it's only halfway through the movie that we find out he got the mask from a hardware store where the alarm is going off. How long has that alarm been going off?
Right. I mean, it's just people in this town are kind of inept, right? What's her name? Annie goes to pick up her boyfriend who lives 3 houses down.
Yeah.
Right. So the boyfriend had to come get her to take her to the Wallace. But anyways, it's fucking stupid. And, yeah, these characters are kind of
the other thing too that really bothered me is throughout the whole beginning of the movie, Laurie's being stalked and she's seeing Michael everywhere. She's seeing him out the window. She's seeing him down the street. But as soon as Tommy sees, Michael out the window and says the boogeyman's out there, she doesn't believe him anymore.
Right. And for all the times that she's staring at him, why doesn't she say anything? Why doesn't she say, hey, mom, dad, or fuck, Annie's dad is the sheriff?
Yeah.
What?
Creepy dude following me.
With the fucking mask on.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, and I love this. Michael Myers drives.
Oh, I love how they kind of touched on it. I don't know where he learned it.
Yeah,
he must have learned it from watching. They did go back and I guess, I don't know if John Carpenter or someone did an interview saying that Michael Myers was driven back and forth a lot to different court hearings, and he must have watched and saw how someone was driving. That's how he learned how to drive. But yeah, they even touched on, I don't know how he learned to drive.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
He was 6 years old when he went to the sanitarium.
I believe it. I don't give a fuck, right? I didn't care. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I certainly felt similarly with all these points you're talking about. How in the world is he able to drive a car? And Loomis says it appropriately. Well, he couldn't drive a car. Well, he certainly looked like he was.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they talked about the hardware store, the only thing that's missing is a mask, some rope, and a couple of knives. How do you know that? And that's like straight out of a horror movie.
And how does that not set off any fucking alarms when you hear that? A knife, rope.
Well, here's the thing too, is you've been just told that there's this guy who escaped a mental institution. He killed, his sister when he was young. He's coming back to the town. They're warning him. He's coming back to the town to probably seek out more people. Now a mask, a rope, and 2 knives have gone missing. And they still only give Loomis 1 officer to stick with him. They don't have the entire police force out looking for this guy.
But, small towns. I mean,
That's what I was thinking.
We talked about it in all the other ones. Fucking at the time, cops were dumb.
Yeah.
Well, also their high schoolers looked like they were in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah, that doesn't really... I don't ever really think that.
And Laurie Strode, they dressed her up like grandma. Actually, she went out and bought her own clothes, I guess, from a thrift shop.
Yeah, she wanted to play the good girl. Yeah,
but she looked like she was wearing grandma's clothes.
Yeah, I did notice that in this film, like some of the other ones, Bob actually says when him and Linda are done doing the deed
After that whole 10 seconds.
Yeah, and she sounds like you, comic book guy. So let's talk about the kills. How many kills are in this one?
6 kills.
Okay, so who's the first kill? It's the nurse, right?
He doesn't kill the nurse in the beginning.
The nurse driving the car?
Yeah.
She survives.
Yeah.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
I know he attacks her.
Yeah.
Did you catch the scene where he reaches out, he's on top of the car and he smacks the window? Did you catch the painted wrench on his hand, on his wrist?
I saw something flash.
Yeah, I guess they actually they tied or taped a wrench to his palm and painted it pink to look like his hand.
Yeah.
So he could break that window.
Practical effects.
So he kills Annie in the back seat, right? Slices her throat.
With no blood.
Well, Carpenter didn't want it to be all bloody. Yeah. And then he goes after Bob and Linda. And then... there's got to be more than that. I just watched this fucking movie.
Well,
How come I'm not...
We're being idiots. The first kill is Judith.
Oh,
why are we not thinking about that?
That's true. That's
Judith,
true.
When he's a little boy, he kills his sister.
That's right. So
that's the first murder.
You got Judith, Annie, Bob, Linda.
Do either of you have sisters?
No.
I was trying to think who's out there's sister sits there and brushes her hair in front of a mirror. First of all, when she's watching her brother and she's having sex upstairs, a whole 10 seconds worth of sex.
They were both worth 10 seconds?
Well, I'm saying she had sex with, in the beginning, her boyfriend runs up, does her, runs out 10 seconds later. And she's up there brushing her hair with her door wide open, topless, in front of a mirror when she's watching her brother. Does that seem weird to you?
Yeah, but I mean, maybe that's why he killed her.
I don't know.
Or maybe he heard the druid voices in his head.
She only got like 10 seconds of, whatever was going on there. And then he killed her. Should have killed the boyfriend for running out so quick.
I don't. Why?
He got what he wanted and left.
He got lucky.
Yeah.
In both sense of the word, right?
Was it really lucky?
That he got away with it? Or he got out before he got killed? Yeah, dude, that's pretty fucking lucky. That's pretty fucking
she didn't
lucky.
get lucky.
Yeah, no, she got dead. Yeah. I always love the expression on the little kid's face when they pull off the mask. Michael, and he just kind of looks at the.
I love the two parents staring down at him.
Yeah, and then they're just looking, and then we just pull away.
It's interesting how they did do that shot. They made it look like it was one continuous shot the whole way and through his eyes. I did appreciate that effect because it's not something I think you really saw back in movies around that time.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it was like one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Right. I like the foreshadowing when Annie's driving the car. The Blue Oyster Cult is playing "Don't Fear the Reaper."
Mm-hmm. I used to love that band.
Blue Oyster Cult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would, buddy.
They have also that song about Godzilla.
Well, there you go.
Needs more cowbell.
Then that's what I will always refer to when I hear Blue Oyster Cult is I got a fever and the only prescription is more cowbell. Michael Myers wasn't originally going to be called Michael Myers. What was he going to be called?
I forget.
I don't remember. I remember what the movie was going to be called, but I don't remember what the character
was. It was going to be called The Babysitter Killers.
Well, yeah, that was the original movie title. What was he supposed to be called?
The Shape. In the credits, he is actually referred to as The Shape. So, yeah.
I'm glad they went with Michael Myers. Although, from what I hear, the SNL character, or the SNL actor, Michael Myers, was not too thrilled with him using that name.
Yeah, well, I mean, who could have known?
Yeah.
Right, who could have known? What didn't you like about this flick?
Well, I'll jump in real quick that, Obviously, it's hard for these movies made back then, made in the 70s, to hold up today. Like today's audience will look at it, see the outfits, see the sideburns, see the film style, the film quality. It's hard, even though these are good movies, it's hard for them to hold up rewatchable wise, which I'm inventing a new word, rewatchable wise, for today's audience.
You may or may not be correct. I know that if you see a movie when it came out, there's a nostalgia for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it might not hold up to today's audiences, but you know what? For me, this one is rewatchable and it does hold up. There are a lot of movies made in the 80s and 70s that completely do not hold up, right? But there are certain few that do. Now, that being said, if you introduced Michael Myers today in 2021, and this is the first time we've ever seen him, if you take something like John Carpenter's and you polish it up a little bit, I think that people probably would be more receptive to the zombie version.
Let's say if you took like the average 16-year-old today and showed him this 1978 movie, do you think it'd hold up as well?
Depends on the 16-year-old. It really does. Because I showed Keenan this when he was around that age, and he appreciates it, right? I showed Logan the original Nightmare on Elm Street. He laughed. You could care less, right? And so that's kind of where we're at. Has TJ seen this one?
TJ and I have never talked specifically about this movie. He said when I offered to have him watch it with me, he said, I don't want to watch the whole thing. I just want to watch some parts. So I couldn't tell one way or the other if he was just talking about if he wanted to see just the kills or if he's seen the movie before.
I got you. So, I think the story could hold up today.
Mm-hmm.
But
the story is great.
But it all depends on who does it and how it's done. So that's why I said that I think the zombie version would resonate better with today's youth, I guess. And we'll talk about that movie in a minute. So, all right. We kind of went about the things that we didn't like already with the, how did Loomis miss the fucking car? Anything else you guys want to touch on about what you didn't like? Maybe?
If I had to pick a scene that I didn't care for as much for, it's the one where they're driving in the car and they're smoking pot or smoking the cigarettes or whatever, and they're driving up to the sheriff. Why didn't they just drive by him? Because
that's her dad.
I know, but she could have just driven by him.
That's her dad.
And that whole scene didn't seem like it needed to be there. Were they just saying that they were, the average teenage kids up to hijinks?
Well, now you're just being nitpicky. Well, that scene did not bother me at all.
If you're asking if there's something we don't like, of course we're going to be nitpicky.
Okay, but there's something different about that scene, which I thought was ridiculous. How the fuck does Dad not smell the pot just emanating from the car?
Oh, he smelled it. He's not a dumb cop.
Absolutely.
But he's not a dumb dad either. So...
Well, he spends the whole movie not believing Loomis at all, so I think he is a dumb cop.
Would you believe Loomis?
Yes, I would believe Loomis.
I wouldn't.
Really?
I would say, dude, you're just being a Bond.
He's a cop. Villain. Someone reports it in. I would take it seriously. There's a freaking gravestone just disappeared from the graveyard. It all connects up.
Damn kids.
2 knives and a mask disappeared from this hardware store.
Oh, look at you, Joe Detective. You would fucking run.
It would all match up. I'd still run, but I'm saying it all matches up. I'd be like, okay, I'm out of this town. I'll see you tomorrow. See you on the 1st.
Yeah.
I thought the movie did a really good job of holding tension.
100%. Yes.
And I attribute it largely to the musical score.
The musical score is iconic, but
also written by James Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
Yeah. Well, he does he pretty much does all of his own tunes. Yeah. Escape from New York, Big Trouble. I mean, that's all. He has such a distinct sound. Yeah. And what I was going to say was, it felt a little bit too repetitive for me. Not the main Halloween theme, the one that we all know and love, but the in between. It just kind of got monotonous, and it was probably meant to be that way to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's one of the things I thought while watching the movie is, oh my God, here's the same music again. Here's the same thing again. They could have changed it up just a little bit.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? Because every time that would happen, I would go, yeah, but this is Carpenter.
Yeah.
And it would kind of just fade away into the background for me. So, favorite kill?
The favorite kill for me isn't quite a kill. The favorite kill for me is the death of Michael Myers at the end when he's shot 6 times and falls to the ground, and then holy shit, he's not there.
Dun dun dun.
That was my favorite
Don,
one.
you got one?
My favorite kill? My favorite kill will probably have to be homeboy stuck to the
Bob?
fucking door. However, there's a big flaw in that. A, his knife isn't long enough, and B, there's no way he would fucking just hang there.
That's mine
Totally,
too.
totally.
I would agree with that, and I think being the favorite is also the one that's the most disputed.
Yeah.
But it has one little touch at the end, which is really good at selling the moment. It is the iconic tilt of Michael's head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing I did notice, and going back, I kind of watched for it, was in this movie versus the second one. First one, Michael seems to appreciate his kills more. He actually kind of takes a pause after each kill to appreciate them. So that's kind of what I also liked on this scene, is that he did that little dog head tilt.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's easily my favorite kill in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Another moment that I really enjoyed a lot. I remembered in the theater watching it. We have Lori. She has just sent the who's she babysitting?
Tommy.
Yeah, she sends Tommy off, and she's sitting there quietly sobbing, and then we watch Michael sit up in the background.
Oh yes.
That was incredible to see in the theater, because the theater drops a deuce.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the Carpenter did such a great job of having Michael in the background. He would subtly come into frame, or the light would hit him and he'd come out of the shadow, and he'd always be right there, and everyone was oblivious but us, the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And he was great at that.
He also was good at not always putting him in the center of the frame. Michael, when he was stalking her, he was kind of on the side, the edge, or the car was coming up on the side of the screen, not the center of the screen.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that really drew your attention right away unless you were looking in the background. For me, this movie is the first one that you're thinking, why don't they double tap? You knocked him down, he's laying down on the floor, you stab him like 6 more times.
You do whatever you got to do to make sure this motherfucker isn't getting up.
Exactly.
Oh, I agree with you 110%. And that goes for any of them, right?
Well, let's face it, all of these characters haven't seen horror movies.
Well, that's a fair point.
Yeah, she's just sitting outside the bedroom crying and all that. And I'm thinking, he's going to sit up.
Yeah, well, she's been pretty fucking traumatized.
Yeah.
I'm talking about more about Loomis not finishing the job with his fucking gun.
Anything else you guys have to say about this Halloween before we move on to the next?
I enjoyed it. It was a fun watch. And my rating is, well, like all the other ones, you're going to have to wait to the end.
Well, let me ask you this quick question. We've watched a lot of first versions versus remakes. This version, I think, is most comparable to the first Friday the 13th in style, film style, look and feel. Which would you say was better made, the first Friday the 13th or the first Halloween?
Oh, Halloween, without a doubt.
Hands down.
That's where I'm going to go to.
That's kind of a dumb question.
Well, it is a dumb question, but I just wanted to get a feel for it.
Okay, well, you play dumb games, you win dumb prizes. Should we go to 2007 and Rob Zombie's atrocious attempt at a remake?
You hit that time machine.
These eyes will deceive you. They will destroy you. They will take from you your innocence, your pride, and eventually your soul. These eyes do not see what you and I see. Behind these eyes, one finds only blackness, the absence of light. These are the eyes of a psychopath. Michael was created by a perfect alignment of interior and exterior factors gone violently wrong. A perfect storm, if you will. Thus creating a psychopath that knows no boundaries and has no boundaries.
All right, so let's talk about Halloween 2007. It was released on August 31st, 2007. Directed by Rob Zombie. Story by Rob Zombie. Stars Malcolm McDowell, Sherry Moon Zombie, Scout Taylor Compton, Brad Dourif, Danielle Harris, William Forsythe, Tyler Main, and Dag Furch. After being committed for 17 years, Michael Myers, now a grown man, is still very dangerous. He escapes a mental institution and immediately returns to Haddonfield to find his baby sister, Lori. This movie was made for $15 million and it grossed $80 million.
It's kind of crazy to me that the first movie made $70 million for such a lower budget, and this one only made $80 million for a much higher budget.
What does that tell you?
This one kind of sucked.
Movies like this, I feel like, rely on word of mouth, and if word of mouth isn't strong, then people are going to stay away.
Yeah.
Was this released in August?
Yeah.
As opposed to the other one was released on Halloween.
Well, in October.
Yeah. I thought it was
yeah.
released on Halloween weekend or something like that. But the 2007 one was released in August. That could have a small thing to do with it as well.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, timing of your release is pretty key when you're talking about movies. Yeah, it's surprising that this wasn't released in Halloween time.
It was competing against, I think, Saw 4.
Oh, well, there you go. Fucking Saw, right? This was made by Rob Zombie, and Rob Zombie had come in already making House of a Thousand Corpses, which I actually dug. I liked House of a Thousand Corpses, and I was really excited to see what Rob Zombie could do with Michael Myers, right? Because he's Zombie's out there. Let's not be afraid to say it. He's not afraid to show you some shit, and in this film, he shows you some shit. And he makes no apologies. He doesn't pull any punches, and he gives it to you right now. Whether or not you can take it that's on you. That's on the film goer. So I thought that maybe, after watching it, and I remember seeing it in the theater, and I wasn't all that high on it. And then watching it again the other night, I remembered, oh yeah, I wasn't that high on it. So
I do appreciate the connections, though. Rob Zombie's connection was he had music in one of the other Halloween sequels.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did use some of his music in the sequels, which he turned out to be a big fan of the Halloween series. But I do appreciate before he agreed to make this movie, he went to John Carpenter and asked for permission.
Which is a classy move,
Yeah.
right? And I think that
Certainly.
if you're going to remake something, especially something that everybody loves or there's a big appreciation for, you go and get the blessing, right? So yeah, that very much a classy move. I don't mind Rob Zombie as a filmmaker. I just think that he was given something. He was given an intellectual property that he had a chance to remake, and the direction he and his writing team decided to go was to give us a backstory of Michael Myers, which, I said 20 minutes ago, I don't need a backstory.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest problem I had with this movie.
They spend, we get basically the young Michael Myers as much as we get the old Michael Myers in the movie. I mean, it's like half the movie is the young one, then we get the rest of them is the older one. Now, I understand that the purpose was, I guess there was a TV version of John Carpenter's original movie. They filmed some new scenes for the original movie before they put it on TV, and that TV version had the young Michael Myers in court getting judged and getting sent to the sanitarium until he's 21, things like that. So that was the inspiration for Rob Zombie having the younger version of Michael Myers in this movie so much. But I agree with you, or at least I think where you're going, is that in the original one, we just got a remorseless killer. It didn't matter his reasoning. It didn't matter his motives. It didn't matter his upbringing. It was almost cooler that he was this just unknown reason why he's doing this. He's just a killer. The fact in this movie, they give him, a backstory, and they give him the whole idea of, he had kind of a shitty upbringing combined with the serial killer tendencies to create this character. You didn't have the same feeling for the Michael Myers character.
So you have this backstory happening because, as John was stating, the movie had to be toned down for a television version. Because it was toned down the way that it was, they went back to him and they said, we need more content. And so Carpenter scratched his head, said, all right, let's, and so he worked out an idea and he got Donald Pleasance back involved with it, did some additional stuff. And that's how we get this origin of what Michael Myers was like before he did the killing. And as a result, Rob Zombie takes a look at this and he decides to put his spin onto it. And in the end, we end up getting this Rob Zombie version of Halloween, which I totally wish that whole first act, waste of time, don't need it. Mm-hmm. What we're doing with Michael Myers here is not effective. It is not necessary, nor do I want it.
I will tell you exactly why we have a backstory for Michael Myers. Yeah, maybe he wanted to pay homage to those special scenes, blah, 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 blah. He needed somewhere to put his wife. So
there was another reason why he used his wife, besides the fact he just loved putting his wife
because she was
in
tall,
everything.
and it would explain how Michael Myers is tall. That's a stretch.
That is a stretch.
Okay, I don't give a fuck. He stays true to the backstory, Michael killing his sister, but he embellishes and he goes on and on and on. And
I kind of feel like a little bit that Rob Zombie wanted just to have these moments that he's had floating around in his head. Wouldn't it be terrifying for this? And then he put a storyline around those moments. I feel this movie plays out a lot more as moments rather than a story.
I don't think he said, this is terrifying. I think he said, this would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, for me, I love the original Michael. As Loomis puts it, he's pure evil. You can see evil in his eyes. The second one, he's just a serial killer. He's just a kid, a messed up kid who grew up to be a messed up adult who's a serial killer.
Well,
there's nothing supernatural or evil about him.
I'm going to agree and disagree with you in that. The first half of this film, you're absolutely right. He is a serial killer. In the second half, once we get introduced to Laurie and it goes into just a condensed, faster version of the original Halloween, I think he is more foreboding, and I think he is a huge presence. And I would be more scared of this Michael than the other Michael, just because Taylor Mane is so big, and I mean
he's a big fucking dude,
and the bits in the bits in the asylum, though unnecessary, made you feel uneasy, right? Because he was so big.
Well, there was a purpose for the asylum in especially Danny Trejo's part, in that Danny Trejo was super nice to him as he was locked up, and Michael goes and kills him in a horrible, vicious way, is to basically say that this is a remorseless killer with no feelings.
Godless, marauding, killing machine.
So basically, that was the whole point of that, was just to basically say he'll kill anyone.
And it's so heartbreaking to hear Danny Trejo going, I was good to you. I was good to you. And
Mikey.
And he keeps beating his fucking head. And that's another thing. Okay. Let's talk about Rob Zombie for a second. The killing of the bully goes on and on.
That was a little long.
All of it's a little long. I mean, we get it, and I understand you want to push the envelope, but I mean, for me,
8 swings of the baseball bat.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I've always said that what goes on in your head is way worse than what's on screen. So if you tease it a little bit and you give a couple of 2 or 3 good whacks, but if you use the right sound effect, I think it still has the same effect of us watching it over and over and over again.
And I would agree with you in that, John Carpenter's kills versus Rob Zombie's kills, they had the same effect with or without the gore, with or without the extension of, going on and on and on. They had the same impact.
Yeah.
So in fact, I would even give the points to John Carpenter in that his seemed to, they're quicker, they got it done, they moved on.
Yeah. So we would normally read the summary right here, but we've been talking so much about it. As you can guess, the first 49 minutes of this film is Michael's backstory, where we find out that he's a sick little fuck. The second, or the rest of the movie, is a almost shot-for-shot remake of Halloween.
Disappointing.
Except that he's trying to find his little sister.
Right. Okay. So yes, in this one, Rob Zombie went ahead and gave us the morsel of Laurie Strode is Michael's sister, which we actually do not find out until the second Halloween of the 70s series. That's where we find out that Michael and Laurie are related. Nowhere in the 78 version that we watched does it even hint to that.
Well, thank you for spoiling that for me.
For who?
For me. So
Okay, guess what?
Just
Spoiler.
totally ruined the movie for me.
Well,
Now.
good. I'm glad
You can throw it in at the front.
Oh, can I?
Fuck off.
You fuck off. You fuck off, and you fuck off.
I am disappointed how much it looked like the first one in its shots and composition. There were some differences, of course. You know, the deeper we got into the movie, the more gore that there was, the more blood. But you know, Zombie just digs his ambiance. You know, just the sets. You know,
Gratuitous nudity.
Is that a thing for him too?
Oh yeah,
He likes to put a lot in.
which is odd because his wife doesn't get naked.
Mm.
I think she does in 1,000 Corpses. I can't remember. Anyways,
Yeah, the way that the old Myers house looks, you know, when he's tearing up the ceiling and Laurie's hiding in the wall, having the basement, you know, with you know how it looks down in the basement, you know, Zombie really digs, you know, that vibe, that look, and it looks good. It looks like it feels like you're in a haunted house.
oh yeah, for sure. Definitely the right vibe for that is the haunted house vibe, for sure. Yeah, and I guess I expected more out of Zombie going into this. I mean, I knew I was going to get a stupid fucking backstory, and that was going to be a big part of it. And that, if you couldn't tell, is my biggest issue with this film. But when it gets into the remake of John Carpenter's movie, I expected a little bit more. It just kind of played out exactly the way the first one did, and it was like he had all of these ideas how to kill a bully and how to get him out of the insane asylum, and how to kill these guards and this, that, and the other and get away. But when it came to the second half of the movie, he was like, we'll just do it this way.
That's where I kind of went back and forth a little bit in that, is he just taking the lazy road or is he doing a tribute? Like the whole killing of Bob, almost identical. I mean, he pretty much was identical to the original movie. You know, goes and kills Bob, pins him to the wall, goes upstairs in the ghost costume, you know, and she even uses the same line, see something you like kind of thing. You know, it's exactly, but then I kept thinking, well, it's kind of a tribute to the original movie that he's putting those scenes in.
You call it a tribute, I call it laziness. One or two things, yeah, you're paying homage, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, in the 2007 version, they, again, don't fear the Reapers on a lot of the stations or on the background noise, and that's paying homage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making a shot-for-shot remake like they did with Psycho is just lazy to me.
Absolutely, because I feel the same way. You know, watching that stuff happen, I'm thinking to myself, I already saw this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I should be seeing something else. How about, you know, like for example, one of the first things I thought of right off the bat was, we could have had Michael looking at the sheet, and he could have it in his hands, and he could have the glasses in the other hands, and then he could just drop them
and find a new way to kill.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Have it right there and think, he didn't.
Yeah, no, we went right into it. And even Laurie being in the wall is just another version of her being in the closet.
In the closet.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you would think that he would get a little bit more of an, if it's paying homage, well, then maybe he paid a little bit too homage.
Let me ask you this real quick. If we're going to compare scene to scene, you brought up Laurie in the closet versus Laurie in the wall. Which of those two did you like better? Which do you think was more kind of suspenseful, more tension?
Closet.
Good question. Yeah, I'm going to have to say the closet.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes, is the closet, because he's coming at her and she's got to come up with something quick.
Yeah, and she has no idea what she's doing. Now, granted, the payoff is, you know, she stabs him in the eye as a lucky shot. And then obviously it doesn't kill him, but yeah, I mean, the closet is pretty iconic.
A lot of people think that in the first movie, when Laurie rips off his mask and you kind of see his face and it looks a little bit deformed, his face isn't actually deformed. It's because he's been stabbed in the eye.
Yeah, that's what I thought when she pulls off. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's continuity.
Exactly.
Good for them. Good
Yeah,
for them.
and hiding in the closet, you know, it's a lousy place to hide.
Yeah.
It's it's a lousy place to
Well,
hide.
she opened
kind
up
of
the
a
door.
no-brainer.
You know, I saw her open the door, thinking, you know, the balcony door, thinking, okay, that's a diversion. Now she's going to go in the
Yep,
closet.
yep.
He never even went that. He knew right away she was in that closet.
Yeah, so
and of
she-
course, he's making all those noises and peeps. And
Yeah, well, she should have went out the fucking door.
yeah.
I mean, whatever. Did you know the gal that plays Annie actually plays Michael Myers' niece in the 4th and
Yes.
5th Halloween?
And-
Danielle Harris.
And there's actually a little bit of backstory behind that. Have you read the backstory?
No.
She really wanted to do the Rob Zombie version. She wanted to change the way that people looked at her and the way people, you know, she was always kind of a goody character, and an actress who was looked at kind of like almost like a Disney type actress. So she wanted to change the impression of her. So when Rob Zombie said, "Well, I might want you to do a nude scene," she jumped at it and said, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll be as nude as you want." She just had to walk around the set a lot in front of everybody naked, you know, topless. And that long running scene, that was her trying to change her image.
Yeah, well, she changed it because when we leave her, she's laying on the ground covered in blood,
Yeah.
Yeah,
covering her boobies.
and that is something that I noticed as well. That is people get more and more covered in blood. It's a Rob Zombie movie.
Yes. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So, what'd you like about it?
About the second one?
Yeah.
I will say that I liked Tyler Mane. I liked his portrayal of a really foreboding Michael. You know, he's big and he's scary. I'll give it the points for that. I will give it the points that the high schoolers looked like high schoolers. They actually looked younger. They acted younger. Everybody definitely used a lot of cussing in the movie, which seemed a little bit odd and a little bit out there. But
What the fuck are you talking about?
But, you know, we don't cuss on this show. They did act like teenagers, and it was more believable for those characters. Beyond that, there wasn't much else. I would say that McDowell, he did a good job as his version of Loomis. You know, he was kind of this... He went from being, you know, kind of a respectable psychiatrist to a guy who was just looking to make a buck. And did he really care about Michael? Or, you know... Did he just, you know, now feel a little bit of blame for Michael, you know, a little guilty conscience? I like that little bit different of a portrayal, but there really wasn't much else in this movie that I cared about.
Yeah. What about you? What'd you like about this film?
I think that I appreciated how intimidating and foreboding Michael looked in this movie. The roughness of his mask and the grittiness of his look was very menacing.
Yeah.
You know, he's 6'8", and he definitely, you know, fills a doorway. And so I really like that a lot. Cracked me up how lousy people are at, you know, taking a shot at him, and you know, when he gets stabbed and when he gets shot, it's, you know, is it Laurie that stabs him once and that's it?
Yeah, right
Once-
here in the clavicle.
What the heck? Come on.
Yeah. Stop that fucker.
Yeah.
Cracked me up how pathetic Laurie was at the end of the movie. Just this blithering idiot. Granted, she could very easily be in shock and she's completely traumatized, but it was dreadful watching her just stumbling around, screaming and sobbing and doing nothing except screaming and sobbing and stumbling around. And she was pathetic.
She's no Jamie Lee Curtis.
No.
I do like, before I go to Don, I do like a little bit that they did give more of a connection and origin to the mask for Michael, in that, you know, it was in that early scene when his sister got killed, you know, that mask, and then he basically hid it in the house and he finds it later. Whereas in the first movie, it's just something he stole from a hardware store.
Which makes it so much more creepy. I can't believe you
think
like
that's
that
more
part.
creepy?
Fuck yeah. As soon as the boyfriend pulled it out, I fucking rolled my eyes.
I was just
I
thinking,
said, Jesus, Rob Zombie, are you trying to force feed me this motherfucker?
yeah, but that's because you'd already seen the mask in the previous movies. In the previous one, you think, why has he got such a connection to this specific mask when he'd just stolen it? You think he'd have more of a connection to a clown mask.
Why do you even think he has a connection to a mask?
Because he wears it in every freaking movie.
Because that's his mask.
He goes back to it.
I think he never loses it.
Yeah.
Well, he sure had a lot of them in the asylum in this version.
Yeah. Which I kind of enjoyed that part. I think that this film is about a half hour too long. Okay, this one clocks in at almost 2 hours, which is a half hour longer than the original. And I dug the scenes with him in the asylum. I dug the look of it. I dug the feel of it. I like the teenagers in it. And I even like the kills. I think if you shave off, I don't know, a frame here, a couple frames there, I think the kills are really effective. My problem is it just kept going and going, and it takes you out of it. It took me out of it. This wasn't a horrible remake of a horror film. We've reviewed some pretty bad ones recently. But I would there was some things in here to like, but I feel like there was more things to dislike, and that sucked. But is what it is.
I just wanted to comment that I did not raise my eyebrows at all when Dr. Loomis is killed. I totally saw that coming. I knew that when they're both sitting in the car, here comes Michael, and sure enough, grabs her, yanks her out of the car. Yep, totally saw that.
Yeah. And I didn't like when he takes her to the house and he tries to explain to her that he's her brother. Forced.
Me neither.
Dumb. Come on, Rob.
Yeah.
I expected more.
Why does he all of a sudden now? I mean, I understand he didn't kill her in the beginning of the movie, but why now has he got all these feelings and he wants family?
He's always had them.
Yeah.
He's always had them.
How did he know that she is...
She could kind of look like the older sister.
Okay, but how does he know that she is his sister?
She doesn't. It's movie convenience. It's them trying to work into this plot point that we actually don't even get until the second film of the original.
Now, when you were talking about Loomis getting killed, I didn't believe for a minute that he was dead.
So I also was not surprised by the time we get to the end of the movie that Laurie is just completely soaked in blood.
Why is she soaked in blood at the end?
So
I just watched it last night.
Being beaten up, and she falls off the balcony.
Yeah, they both fall off the balcony. Michael tackles her.
Yeah.
When she's wanting to shoot the gun and she doesn't, and then she picks up the gun and click.
Oh, and it does
click.
fire. It does fire at the fire. That's right.
He grabs her wrist and it goes off.
That's right. And then we cut the black and
it covers
it's over.
her in the blood at that point. But I kind of wanted to see, and I love how I think you pointed out the fact that she was just screaming and crying the whole movie. I want her to see her become that badass, to become the Michael Myers bloodline of she can be a killer too.
Or at the very least, that she,
Jamie Lee Curtis
she finds
style.
an inner strength instead of just completely breaking down.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of.
The fact that she completely breaks down just bothers the heck out of me.
Yeah, she was a fucking wreck, and
she was a train wreck.
Yeah, and she did what she had to do, and I thought she was fine as Laurie Strode. No, Jamie Lee Curtis. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I guess for this film, it was okay. What was your favorite kill
in this movie?
In this one,
I'm gonna just jump in. For this one, it was Bob again.
It was the same fucking kill, though.
I know, but I'm just saying it's the same kill, but for both movies.
God, you're fucking lazy.
Yeah.
I like the presentation that we get afterwards with the pumpkin on his head.
Yeah, when he's hanging from
that was a nice display.
That was a nice little nod. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My favorite kill, when he kills Laurie's parents, when he kills Dee Wallace, and that's because she's crawling and he just toying with his supper.
Yep.
Right, and that's where I think that was probably the most frightening scene for me.
And she's drug out.
That's right.
Of the frame.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one. Yours?
Nothing comes to mind.
To compare the two movies, let's look at our scorecard. Which movie do you think had the better storyline / script?
Well, considering they're both the same story, one just has 49 useless minutes. I'm going to go ahead and say the first one.
First.
I am going to agree with both of you.
Which one had better characters?
Better characters, since they were kind of the same characters. I'm going to go with the first one again.
Yeah, so am I. I could care less about the backstory characters.
No, you couldn't care less. When you say you could care less, that means you could care less. You're trying to say that you couldn't care less.
This is why he's the professor.
I couldn't fucking care fucking less about the fucking characters in the second fucking film. Sorry, Dad. That's what the professor does.
Well, It's proper. That was proper.
Like an old grammar guy over there.
I know, dude. What the fuck?
Music-wise, which had the better music?
First.
Zombie used the Halloween theme, but he also used some other stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with the second one.
You're going to go with the second one.
Yeah.
The only reason I picked the first one is because I honestly, if I'm thinking about both movies, I can only, I mean, again, repetition, but I can only think of the music from the first one. That's the one that's iconic. That's the one I keep hearing over and over into my head. So that's the one that made the more impact on me.
Yeah.
Which movie, since we were talking about best kills earlier, which movie do you think had the better kills?
If you would have cut down a bunch of what he was doing, Rob Zombie had some really cool kills. To me, I think that a lot of them stem from previous horror movies, right? Especially the last half of the film. The last half of the film, he just took the same kills, right? Again, he had this chance to do something really fucking cool, and he almost pulls it off. But I'm going to give it to the first one because that's when we first saw it. And when he kills Bob and hangs him on the fucking door, you know, that was good shit.
Ken, do you have a preference? Which one you thought the kills were done better?
First
one. I would agree with you both in that I didn't need the kills to be drawn out. I understand Rob Zombie was going to try to make us uncomfortable, make us squeamish, things like that. But, you know, I didn't need to see people get beat and, you know, bloodied and everything before they get killed. Even though, you know, Carpenter didn't have the gore and the, you know, the blood and all that in his first movie. His were quicker to the point. We got it. We understand what happened.
Which Michael Myers did you like better? The one from the 1978 version or the one from the 2007 version?
I am really torn. Between these two because they both have strong attributes that make them chilling. And I think for me, I think I might go with the second one.
Yeah.
The height, the way the mask looks, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the 2007 one as well because he was a big dude and he was fucking pretty intimidating.
I will give you that he's more intimidating, more foreboding, things like that. But if you look at the background stories of both of them, the first one, like I said earlier, he's just a remorseless killer. We don't know his purpose. He's just unstoppable and killing for no particular reason. There's no feeling behind it. The second one, we know he's a fucked up kid and he's just grown into a fucked up adult. So for that reason, I liked the storyline of the Mike Myers. I liked the buildup of the character in the first one more than the second one. I liked the Michael in the first one better. Which movie do you feel like had more scenes that were more tense and more suspension, the better buildup of those scenes?
I'm going to say the first one. Just the way Carpenter used the camera and the angles that we got.
The dimming of the light.
The dimming of the lights, and every time Michael would come in and we get that shot when he raises, when Laurie thinks he's dead, and way so much more because nothing was really tense in the 2007 one because he throws it all at you. He tells you exactly what you're going to get when he beats this bully to death and when he kills the little rat. And we know just from the atmosphere and the setting that you're going to see some shit. So it's really not that tense. You know it's coming. At least with this one, the 78 version, you get the heavy breathing, you get the point of view shots, the slow movement of the camera, and just the way he worked the camera. Yeah, I'm going to give it to the first one for sure.
First, hands down, absolutely. The second one, I will say though that I don't want to say that it was almost comical, but I found myself being amused a couple of times with all of the killing that Jason was doing and all of the different places he was going. He's a busy little beaver. He's busy setting up stuff here, setting up stuff there, getting this ready to go here. Now he's got to run over there. He's a busy little beaver.
Yeah.
I think
You meant Michael, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, although Rob Zombie tried, he did not recapture like that tenseness and the suspension, or just the whole scene of Laurie in the closet. He tried to recapture that type of moment, that type of feeling, but that scene alone seals the deal for me for the first movie.
Yeah. Well, I think we know the answer, but we'll ask the question anyway for John's little scoreboard. Who was the better Laurie?
First.
Jamie Lee,
It's always got to be Jamie Lee Curtis.
She's the queen.
the Scream Queen. She's
Yeah.
the original. You would think that it would be Sharon Burns from Texas, but no, it is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Marilyn Burns.
If we were next on the scorecard, it's which had the more kills. That one easily goes to the second one.
Yeah. The first 49 minutes of the movie had more kills than the entire original.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Now comes the big question, I feel. Of the two movies, if someone said, hey, let's go watch Halloween, which one would you say is more rewatchable? Which one are you going to say, hey, let's watch the 1978 version or the 2007 version?
Well, I think you know what I'm going to say. The second one. Not.
Oh, you should have done it like Mike Myers. Canadian Mike Myers. The first one. Hands down.
I agree with you both. I'm going to go with the first one.
Yeah.
So do you want to know our overall who won?
I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious to people, but please enlighten us.
Obviously, the 1978 version won hands down for our pick over the 2007 version.
All right, so what do you guys think? We should rate these bitches.
Would you like me to elaborate?
Please, Professor, how do we rate these bitches?
We rate them on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 is a movie that you're ready to watch again right now. You are ready just to jump right in and get into it right away. A 1 is a movie that you have seen and you have no desire to see it ever again. It's just done. Don't need it. A 3, somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I'll watch it someday. Who knows when?
All right, there you have it. Who wants to go first?
What would a 0 be, Professor?
Somebody owes me 2 hours of my life back.
Okay. Well, I will go first, if that is okay with you, Don. It is your basement.
I suppose.
Okay. Well, looking at the 1978 version, I always got to appreciate any movie that Jamie Lee Curtis is in. I thought she did a great job. I thought Carpenter did a great job of putting this movie together. It does lack a few things here and there. There are some unbelievability in that. You're right. Michael Myers gets around so quickly, so many different places. Things don't add up. But for what it was at the time that it came out, compared to the other movies that were made that were just knockoffs of this movie, and the fact that everybody compares, any future slasher movie to the original Halloween, it was a good movie. And I'm glad we had this assignment to go back and watch this movie because I remembered it a lot differently. I remembered it not liking it as much when I first saw it, but I really enjoyed it this time around. In fact, there are some scenes that I stopped and I rewinded, like, Michael's mask coming off, when he escaped from the insane asylum, things I rewatched even while watching the movie just to see them again and see if I could catch little things. Going back, knowing that he appears in a lot of background scenes, I wanted to go back and find all those scenes. So again, really enjoyed this movie. If someone came over and said, hey, let's watch the 1978 version of Halloween again, I would watch it all the way through with them. So for that reason, I'm actually going to give this a 3.5.
3.5 from the comic book guy.
So now jumping ahead to the 2007 Rob Zombie's version, to me, again, I agree with you, Don. It was, for at least the last half of it, it was almost shot-for-shot remake of the first movie. I got everything I needed to see seeing it this one time again. I had seen it once before. Seeing it again, yes, it's a good movie. It's, cinematography is good in some scenes. It's interesting to get, Michael's storyline and all that. But it went on and on. And I agree with you that the murders went on and on, especially that bully scene. I didn't need all the begging and the beating. They just could have finished them off quick. I found myself thinking, this needs to speed up. This needs to pick up a lot. Going back to what we were saying earlier, if I had to pick between the two movies on which one I'd want to rewatch, I would pick the 1978 version over this one easily. So for that reason, I'm going to give this one a 2.5.
Wow.
That's fucking high, dude.
That's what I was
For all the
thinking.
shit you were just talking, a 2.5. You're going to give it half? You're going to give it a halfway?
I'm going to give it a point down and halfway because if other people were watching it, I'd watch it with them. If I had to pick between the two movies, I could go either way. If whichever one's free is the one that I'd probably watch. I could, so when I give a 2.5, it's because I can go either way on it. But again, picking between the two movies, same situations, I'm going to give the extra point to the 1978 version because I'd want to watch that one more.
All right, 2.5 for the remake and 3.5 for the original from the comic book guy. You want to go or you want me to go?
I can go. The 1978 version is probably my favorite horror movie. When we talk about modern horror movies, it plays out so well in my memory, and watching it again, it didn't disappoint. I remembered a lot of this movie, even though it had been a long time since I'd seen it. So it's left an indelible mark, in my history of, horror movies, which I don't necessarily pursue with a passion. But what I enjoy about this movie is how effectively it is conveying its tension and the godless, marauding, killing machine of Michael Myers as he's introduced to me. Wow, it is so satisfying to watch him just keep coming, and you're thinking there's just no way anybody's going to stop him. And having him being gone at the end, when you have Loomis looking down off the balcony and he's not there, great way to end the movie. And I look at the Rob Zombie version, and as I stated briefly before, it plays out more as moments that the storyline is filling in around. As you said, you're looking at, wouldn't it be cool, is probably what he was thinking. And I just didn't think that the 2007 version was nearly as strong. I have modest to little desire to see the 2007 version again. I adored Jamie Lee Curtis in the first one. Donald Pleasance, he was so good as Loomis, and I am so satisfied when he empties his revolver into Jason or into Michael, shooting him off the balcony like that. It's like, yes, that'll get him. But then it doesn't.
Right.
So satisfying. I will give the first Halloween a strong, solid 4. I will give the second Halloween a strong, solid 1.
There you go. 1 and 4 for my review. The 1978 version is a classic, and it gave us Michael Myers. It gave us Jamie Lee Curtis. And, though not my favorite of the slasher villains, Michael Myers is pretty intimidating, and especially in the zombies version. I like the zombie version of Michael Myers better than the 78. You take him and put him in the 78, now we're talking. Right?
Holy shit.
But yeah, Halloween, I mean, what else can we say about Halloween that we haven't already said? Classic film, the way it was made, the independent filmmaking feel it had, John Carpenter doing pretty much everything himself, writing, shooting, editing, scoring. I mean, he's one of those filmmakers that I really enjoy. Now, his movies aren't always the best, but he has made some great movies. So for that, I'm going to give the first Halloween a solid 3.5. And Zombie, though he maybe his heart was in the right place, maybe he was trying to pay homage, but it felt a little bit too much. The backstory for me, and Keenan and I have had this argument plenty of times. I didn't need the backstory. Keenan liked it. So, I mean, that goes to show you about the times it was released. And I'm pretty sure he saw this one first. But anyways, yeah, so Zombies version was hyper violent, and it was kind of kind of unnecessary. We didn't really need this remake, kind of like the other remakes we were talking about earlier in this series. You didn't really need it. You were given this chance to do something cool with it. You could have reinvented it, and you reinvented it by going backwards and giving us something that we already had, which was Michael Myers. We don't need to know why he's fucked in the head. He's fucked in the head, right? So for that, I'm going to give the 2007 version a 1.
So here's an interesting thought. If you have the 2007 backdrop story directed differently, different direction choices, different editing choices, that would be an interesting thing to see. Having this Michael Myers, these characters, this Dr. Loomis, but if it was directed differently, perhaps that could be a more enjoyable movie.
Oh, I guess it all depends on the director
and the editing.
Yeah, and again, I'm not knocking Zombie as a director.
I'm not either,
because there are films of Rob Zombie's that I really do enjoy. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think he's a bad director. I just think he just didn't make a lot of good choices with this one, and unfortunately, it gets worse in the remake of the second one.
If I, as a director, was going to have like either produce or direct a new Halloween remake, there's only 3 elements I would keep in it. 1, the young Michael Myers killing his sister. 2, you got to throw in Loomis somewhere in there. And then 3, you just got to have Laurie as the prime character. But beyond that, free range, make the movie you want to make, tell your Michael Myers story different.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's well put.
Now, Dawn, I know that there's a question on top of your brain right now, itching at you, that you want to ask now that we reviewed all of these movies.
All right, let's go back to the very beginning. We talked about Jason. We talked about Leatherface. We talked about Sir Freddy Krueger. And we have now talked about Michael Myers. If they were all trapped in a room, who would win? And explain your answer.
Well, before we go into that, there's one correction I think we need to make.
There are no corrections, but go ahead and say what you're going to say.
We reviewed the first Friday the 13th and then the remake. Now, are you talking about...
That's a compelling point.
Pamela Voorhees? Or are you talking about Jason?
Which one did you like better?
I think I gave it to the second one, the remake.
So I'm going to go ahead and let you use your big boy brain and figure that one out.
Wow, he is extra high dick level tonight.
Fair point. But that's a fair point.
Validated by the professor. So,
but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So anyway, we want to go around and say, if we were going to put them all in a room, I think you put it earlier, Pinhead's now captured them all and he's put them into a gladiator pit and said, only one of you comes out.
And only just to clarify, I picked Pinhead because he comes from hell. And so if they were going to go to hell,
they're all going to fight in a pit of hell.
They're going to fight a pit of hell. Who would win?
Does Freddy have his powers, his dream powers?
Yes. Everybody has everything that you've seen in the films. You can take every Jason, roll it up into one. You can take every Freddy, roll it up into one. The character itself, Freddy Krueger, Leatherface, Jason Voorhees, or Michael Myers.
I'm going to go with Michael Myers.
Why?
I think Michael Myers seems to show the most resilience as well as brute strength.
Fair point.
He is a kind of an unstoppable murder machine.
So is Jason.
Yeah. Well, Jason basically was patterned after Michael. But for me, I think it's obvious from our Friday the 3rd, or from our Nightmare on Elm Street podcast that got a schoolgirl crush on Freddy. I gotta go with Freddy in that even when you think you got him beat, even when you think you got him down, he's always, tricking you. He's always making you think you won when he's actually figuring out a new way to take you down. Plus, he feeds off of your fears, so he's going to figure out what gets to each of these characters so he can get to them.
All right. So here's how I see it breaking down in hell. Jason and Michael go at it. Freddy makes quick work of Leatherface because he's just a big fucking cannibal with a chainsaw.
Yep.
And then Freddy sits back and waits for the winner between Michael and Jason, and then Freddy proceeds to win. Now, what if Michael and Jason decide to team up on Freddy? I don't think it matters. Freddy's too smart. He's obviously smarter than all of them. we have a big mindless killing machine in Jason, and we have a big mindless killing machine in Michael. So I think Freddy wins, and Freddy is the champion of hell. Yeah. All right. So
I do want to say, listeners, if you agree or disagree, throw some comments in there. Let us know who you think and why they would win.
Yeah. Or if you guys just want to tell John why he's wrong about other things other than Freddy, please comment. Let us know.
Good thing I am the editor on the website.
So now that we've talked about who we think would win in an ultimate fight, let's talk about these final girls. There's 4 of them to pick from. We have Sally from Texas. We have Alice from Friday the 13th. We have Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. And we have Lori from Halloween. In your opinion, who is... Let's rank them.
There you go.
Who is the...
1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, who do you think would be most likely to survive, and who would be most likely to end their journey early?
So down at the bottom, I put Alice. I thought that she is a, in general, helpless person that just through simple luck of the draw, she ended up coming out alive, and she showed little to no backbone. Number 3, I'm going to go with Sally. I like the torture that we see exuding from Sally, and the fact that she is so broken. I believed what she was selling, and with that, I thought she was a more effective final girl, because the final girl is just the final girl. Whether or not she's whole or broken, we never really get into that.
Sure.
After that, it's a toss-up, because I have Lori before I experienced Nancy, and because of that, I have a stronger connection because she's my original final girl, and she does very little insofar as protecting herself, other than just she gets a stab and then she just stops. So, I think that, just because of what I just said there, I think she's going to go to number 2. And then Nancy, she's my number 1. She is the fiercest of all of our final girls in these 4 movies. And the fact that she is so motivated and driven and willing to go and find Freddy and not just run away from him. She wants to settle it once and for all. It's him or me. And with that, I got to go that she is the best final girl.
Yeah. There you go. John, what do you think?
For me, I'm a little bit different than you, Professor. I'm going to put Sally at number 4, only because I felt like she was a victim the entire movie, or at least the entire scenes when she got caught by that family. The only reason why she got away is because she escaped. She didn't really fight back. She just kind of took the punishment, and she just screamed and screamed and screamed to the point where I didn't find myself rooting for her at all. Alice, on the other hand, while Sally's acting was a lot better, I'm going to give Alice number 3 because at least she fought back and she tried to, take out the killer while getting away. So she goes to number 3. But again, for me, 3 and 4 were pretty forgettable. For 1 and 2, this was a tough decision. But I'm going to have to put Lori at number 2. Again, she fought back, and she's Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm a big fan of Jamie Lee Curtis in just about anything she's been in. So just the fact that, she was a smart character, that she, had some, tenacity to her, I give her the number 2 spot. But kind of going the same lines where you were going, Professor, number 1's got to be Nancy. Main reason is, 3/4 of the way in the movie, she's no longer playing the victim. She's no longer playing the hunted. She's the hunter. She's going to take on Freddy. She's going to go after him. She's going to go in, when Glenn, she had Glenn watch over her while she was going to go in and she was going to find Freddy. She wasn't running, away from him. She was running to him. And, she was the most believable as she could stop the bad guy. So that's why Nancy for me hits that number 1 spot. Don, what was your ranking?
I would say Alice at number 4, Sally at number 3, Lori at number 2, and Nancy at number 1. And I base that on survival, how much they wanted to survive, I guess. I bought it the most from Nancy because she wanted to solve the problem and she went after it. Lori fought back and she was afraid of him, but she knew what she needed to do and she wanted to protect the children. And it's Jamie Lee Curtis, right? And then Sally at 3 is, she didn't really get a chance to fight back, but there was a survival instinct in her that made her jump out that window and made her get into the back of the pickup. And it's because she got to survive just randomly. Really, it was a luck of a fucking draw. She got fucking lucky.
Yeah.
But it's that ending scene when she's laughing like, "Oh, I fucking did it," right? I think that goes a long way. And Alice, I don't know. I just wasn't impressed by the entire first one anyway. So, anyway, that's my ranking. All right, so I think that is going to wrap it up for our Halloween series. I had a lot of fun with this.
Me too.
This was a good time. I think that if our listeners think that there's some more series out there that we should talk about and watch and review, let us know. We are open to anything. Coming down the pipeline in the month of November, we are going to get into our viewers' choices. So stay tuned for that. But first, we are going to finish out our genre picks. And so let's go ahead and do that right now.
Who picked the last one?
I picked the last one.
So is it back to me?
I think it is back to you, Professor.
3 movies left. 1 movie from John, 1 movie from Don, and 1 movie from moi. Our next movie is going to be a movie that I'm sure one of us will not like because that's the way it always goes.
Yeah, well.
What genre?
It's a musical. Okay, it's not a musical, but it's a musical.
Oh.
It's a food movie.
It is
it's
a food
John's
movie.
food movie.
Is it fucking Little Shop of Horrors?
It is not.
Okay, hang on. It's a musical, but it's a food musical.
Do you see a theme going here?
Musical.
Yeah, you don't fucking know how to pick movies. My God, what is it, dude?
You cannot deny that it is a food
I don't
movie.
know. I don't even know what the fuck the movie is. So how can I deny anything? What is it, Professor?
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
The original.
Not Charlie, but Willy Wonka.
Yeah, no.
Gene Wilder.
I heard you the first time.
Are you going to say that that's not a food
is that
movie?
a
It's
food-
a musical?
It's a food movie?
The whole movie's about candy.
Dude, you suck. All right, I just want to say thanks to TJ for coming on and talking about Texas Chainsaw. That was a lot of fun. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this horror series. John, where can they find us?
They can find us at any popular or even not so popular podcasting hosting website. We're on pretty much all of them. They can find us at our website at 3guysinaflick.com. They can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Where else has your daughter thrown us up?
I think we're working on a TikTok thing, but we'll see what happens there.
That's where Professor's going to dance a little or do some kind of song.
Something like that. Yeah. For 3 Guys in a Flick, I'm Don.
I'm John.
And I'm Ken. Thanks for listening. Spoiler.
See, this is why we don't make podcasts when Don's drunk.
Yeah, that's right. Because I get drunk so often. I'm like a fucking lush.
Is that why you wear the lampshade?
Oh, I thought it was a fucking hat.
I think that Don should have worn the Michael Myers mask the whole podcast.
I think you should fuck off. If any of us is Michael Myers, I don't know who would be Michael Myers.
Oh, it has to be the Professor. It's always the quiet one.
Well, see, I would almost pick him as Jason too.
Yeah.
Or maybe I would put you as Jason.
I don't know. Was he Jewish?
Yeah, Voorhees. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah. Or would you want to be Leatherface, Professor? Would you want to wear a mask made of
Human skin?
Human skin.
It certainly has its appeal.
Well, all I can say is, fuck you, I'm Freddy.
No, dude, you're not Freddy. I'm Freddy.
You're Bruce the Shark.
No, I'm Freddy. Always and forever. I'm way funnier than you. I am better looking than you. And I'm sure that if I got all burned up, I'd still be funnier and better looking than you. So this will be a quick edit job. I'm Freddy. The end.